Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle video tutorial on Affinity Photo, and in particular the polar to rectangular filter. Now it's one of those filters that's just a one-click effect. That's it. I mean, it's obviously probably has some practical uses if you're working in polar and rectangular, all those sort of coordinate systems, but you can also use it for some interesting visual effects as well. So just got this image here. You can download it if you want. It's image4.jpg, and you can download it from the Graphicxtras.com website. So filters, you can find it there, distort, and there's also rectangular polar. They just swap backwards and forwards. If you apply that and then you apply the other one, it puts it back to the same. So I'm just going to go to polar rectangle. But it does a nice sort of effect there. It sort of pulls it down. You've got this top part here. Now what you can of course do, you can always go over here and it's locked. This is the layers panel. You can find the layers panel. Not in Windows like in Photoshop, just to confuse things. It's in View and Studio and Layers. And also you can see channels as well. So I'm going to use that. So what you can do, you can rotate and you can apply it again. So repeat polar, and you can see, and you can go around there, repeat polar, and you can create some very weird combinations. Also what you can do, because it's a layer, you can just go to a layer and duplicate. So you've just duplicated it, and then of course you can apply the filter. You can repeat it numerous times, so just repeat, repeat, and you can see you can create some very nice distortions like that. And you can do it 20 or 30 times. You can really, and of course you can still continue to add different designs to it or apply other filters. So you can always go to filter and mirror, say, and then go back to repeat polar again, or the distort and polar. So just do that. And then once you've done that, of course, you can always go with here, blending modes. You can always then go through overlay, difference, and so on, and a layer, and then merge visible. So you can merge them all into one, and then of course repeat polar again. So you can end up creating some very extreme with. Now these can be recorded, of course. So you can actually create view menu, and then go down to studio, and there's always macro. So you can record this and just apply it to any image. So if you want to use it over and over again, you can do that. Now, just going to undo, because I want to just go back to the first one. Yeah, there's the, what you can do, of course, you can duplicate that layer. So layer, and you can duplicate the layer, and you can resize it. You don't have to keep it the same size. And what you can do, you can rotate it. However, when you do that, I've noticed it does take an awful lot of processing time. It's a lot slower than just applying it just like this now. So I'm just going to do that. But be aware, you can obviously do it a couple of times. So filters and distort, of course I can do it there, but I just go there, polar to rectangular, and you can see it's generated there. Went slightly off the edge, but you can see what happens. You get a sort of nice sort of effect there. And of course you can always go effects, and you can add an outer shadow, so you can see it a bit better, or maybe bevel and emboss. So you can see you can create some interesting layer designs, which of course you can hold down the Alt or Option key, again a layer menu and duplicate, and you can generate this design, which you can then of course rotate around like that. And again, if you want, you can go to filters, repeat polar, and then create some very big design. You can see you can really create some very unusual abstract designs like that. And of course you can rotate, you can then of course layer, and you can then merge all visible again. So you can see the sort of designs that you can create. It's very abstract designs. Using this polar bit, it's really quite great for layers. However, just let's undo all that. After all that processing power, just getting it all the way through there. Let's go back to the first thing. So what you can do now, you can do channels. So you can go over here to channels. It wants to let me do it. Sometimes this is not very responsive sometimes. Now with channels, again view and studio, go to the red channel, and you can of course go up here, repeat polar. Obviously I could go to distort, does exactly the same, but repeat polar, just apply it like that. Now I can go to the green. Now with this, obviously it's going to be the same, so it's not going to be much use. However, of course you can, if you want to, you can apply it to the green, but if you apply it to the blue, you will end up with the same as doing the whole lot. So now undo, and you can see you've got the red, however the green and the blue are untouched. And of course what you can do then is you can apply it to the whole lot, and you can see you can create some very interesting, very intense red designs there. Well, that's going through the layers. What you can also do, well, let's go now. Let's undo all that again. Get back to the original layer, merge visible. So it's all back to before. What you can do, you can also use selections. So you don't have to apply it to the whole design. So go here to elliptical marquee tool. Not that one, just like that. Just select an area like that. And then you can go to filter and you can go repeat or go to distort, repeat there. And you can see it's applied to that area. Now what you can also do then is just apply it like that again, another selection, repeat polar, go over there, repeat polar. And you can see by doing that in different parts, you can create a very abstract design that's not as uniform as the just basic standard repeat. But of course what you can do, you can always create over here a freehand selection. So if you want to, you can quickly create a freehand selection. Go over here to add, there's along obviously modes there, so you can go to add, so you can add some additional to that selection. And also you've got select and you can do feather. So do a bit of feather in there, apply, and now of course what you can do, go to repeat polar and you can see the effect is applied there. So there's numerous sort of combinations of effect. You can create some very garish, unusual designs using this approach. Now I'm using, oops, let's go back, all the way back. I'm using this image. Well, what you can also do, you can use over here, you can use shapes. So I'm just going to go through shapes. So like diamond tool, that's a nice one. So diamond tool, let's just quickly create a diamond there. And it could be any tool. It doesn't have to be, you know, it could be a star, it could be, or one that you create as well. Of course, you can go to the rest tools over here and you can pen tool, create your own design. But I've got this design. What you can then do is go to filters, distort, and down to polar to rectangular. For some weird reason, repeat polar to rectangle is not available. Strange. You'd think that would, anyway. But you see what happens? You distorted the shape there. So you create that sort of unusual design like that. And again, if you want to, it doesn't have to be as diamond. Let's go for a donut, just a tiny donut like that. I go filters, again, it's not available. How weird. That just seems to be a bit odd. However, polar to rectangle, of course, obviously you can create some very unusual stretch designs like that. And of course, what you can do, filters, repeat, and you can see, create that design. And that's all from, obviously, got a bit of a path there. Of course, it's no longer, it's just a pixel layer. So if I go to layers, you can see it's pixel. Now you can also do with type. Now I'm not going to, I could do a whole page, but I'm just going to go to this one, artistic type. And I'm going to type A. And I can't see it, there it is. So there's A, there. Now what I can do, I can of course, same, but of course still not available. Very weird. I think that's a bit of a, you'd think it would actually allow that and just convert it for you as a pixel assistant, but obviously not. Polar to rectangle, and again, you've got your A suddenly. And of course you can do more with other text than that. Now, also what you can do, you can use this with the wonderful feature that's just been introduced, the layer and pattern layer from selection. So you can use that as well. So I'm just going to quickly create a new pattern layer from selection. And you can see that now obviously this isn't a pattern. You can see the breaks there, you can see the seamless tile, but you can rotate, do various things. You don't have to rotate, you can obviously keep it like that. But what you can also do, of course, you can always go to filters and repeat polar to rectangle. So this can be used with that layer and pattern layer. Now just when you do, it's just that bit is being changed. So just go to filters, repeat polar, and you can see what happens. You get this very weird effect here. But of course what you can do, repeat polar again, repeat polar. So the whole variety of different designs can be created. Let's just, you know, and it can be rotated around, as I said. So I'm just going to rotate that around and go to filters, repeat polar. And you can see it like that. And I can rotate that around, repeat polar, and so on and so on. So you can create all kinds of very unusual colour combinations there. And you can extend that out, of course. repeat polar, and so on and so on. But what you can also do, if I reduce that down, you've got this design here. This is obviously the pattern design. That's great. Not very much of a seamless pattern, of course. However, what you can do, actually it's a bit weird that they've never introduced that. You'd think that they would introduce a mirror and warp feature within this pattern layer as an option. Is there? Mirror. Ha! Ha! You know what? I've been using this for, anyway, let's completely off that. Just suddenly thought about it. I thought, wouldn't it be nice if it had a mirror effect? And it does. Shows you, you know, you can use something hundreds of times and you never see something. Little button over there. Okay, very handy. Now, that's another tutorial I'll be doing. Right. Now, where am I? I'm off. Oh, what? Gone to the wrong layer there. I want to be on the pattern layer. On the pattern layer. That's strange. So when, oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you can't, when it's so small, sometimes I'm looking around thinking, where's the mirror? Where's the pattern layer? There it is. So what you can do, actually, I'm just going to apply a repeat polar with that. Ooh, interesting. Okay. What you can do, you can go down to a layer and you can rasterize it. So you can rasterize that pattern layer. And then, of course, what you can do, you can go repeat polar to rectangle again, and you can create a nice intro. But then, of course, what you can do, you can always go to layer and new pattern layer from selection. So you've got another pattern layer. And again, you can see your design there. And again, if you want to, after not realizing it existed, ho hum, then you can see, you can create repeat polar again. And you can literally create thousands of different unusual designs very effectively using this approach. And again, if you want, you can always go to filters, repeat polar, or maybe do that. It's stopping, it's rotating around, it's thinking about, it's thinking about it. Has a tendency to always go back to the other layer. Always very odd. Right, so filters, repeat polar, and you can see, you can do this forever. You can see combination, layer menu, rasterize, and again, filters, repeat polar, and so on and so on. You can see you can create these designs, and you can stretch and distort the design in countless ways. So I think I've gone through a fair amount of possible features you can do, and also discovered a new feature of the pattern layer. Yee. I love that sort of thing when I suddenly find something I can now explore a little bit more. So I hope you found this tutorial of interest. Always adding new tutorials about Photoshop, Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, Affinity Publisher, and many, many other applications. Also, if you've got some comments, always appreciated. That's always great. Anything I've done wrong, anything I've done right, maybe put a comment saying, why didn't you notice that mirror feature for a long, long time? Yeah. Also, a dislike or like. Thank you much.